Yes. Mm. He's on his way. So he will be probably 10 minutes. He's actually, I don't know if you know, like, the words for the vet on Main Street. He's the doctor. He's actually the vet. So you told me, well, I gotta work for until 7, but you never know. Maybe there's no sick cat or dog, so I'll see you over there early, but yeah, he just texted me. He said, thank you for the update.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. We can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed through the Limerick Township Facebook page. Through the Limerick Township YouTube page, youtube.com/Limerick Township 1726. We were in executive session on personnel issues prior to coming in. Follow us along on your, stay up to date with your Notify Me on our website page, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube page, Limerick Township 1726. Our upcoming data center public hearing, the continuation of our conditional use, is Tuesday, June 16th at 6:30 p.m. at the Limerick Township Building. Our Park and Rec has some great activities coming up. You can register online or you can call 610-495-6432, extension 1605. I want to highlight that on this Thursday, right out here beside our building, we'll be having our first summer concert with Big Apple Music at 7 p.m. Atlantic City bus trip, June 2nd, 9 a.m. Active Adults Ice Cream Social, June 10th at 2 p.m. And that will be at Scoop DeVille. And then Firehouse Adventure Academy, July 14th, 9 a.m. $10 per child, and that's at the Limerick Fire Station. There's a lot of other activities in here. I just mentioned a highlighted few. All right, and we will have a consideration of the meeting minutes from May 5th and May 11th.
Second.
All right, I have a first and a second. Any board comment? Any public comment? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any supervisor comments? No. And then we have a bills list number 10, May 2nd, 2026 through May 22nd, 2026 for $548,278.14. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have any board comment? Any resident comment? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm going to turn it over to Dan for an update on the Mandrake Park. I'm sorry, Mandrake Playground.
Yeah, thank you. Quick update that the equipment installation is going very well. The contractor is telling us they're over 70% complete. You can just click through the pictures as I talk. These are updated pictures from last week. They're about 70% complete of the actual. You okay over there? Guess not. But anyway, 70% complete on the installation of the playground equipment. Does not include the poured surface and stuff they got to do there. So what you're going to be seeing over the next couple of weeks is
Try your
there's going to be a
keyboard
lot
one.
of things.
Try using page down on your
Like he's
keyboard.
playing the musical instrument that is out there.
They are.
Yeah, yeah.
Move it forward, Glenn.
All right, well, anyway, we're going to have these online. How about if I just say that? You can go to the website and you can see all the pictures. But what you're going to be seeing, they're going to be finishing up through June the equipment, the last 30% of the equipment. Then Public Works has arranged for our fence contractor. They're going to be in. You're going to see the fence post off by around the perimeter by the end of June. And then they're going to prep for the pour in place. So that has to get poured, and it's got to sit for a while, but we're still pushing for a grand opening for Community Day on August 15th. So we're really hoping weather holds up and we can do a grand opening ahead of and again, that is the first celebration of Limerick's 300th birthday, or a full celebration on September 26th. So that would be a great way to kick off the 300th. Glenn, how's the video going to work? You want to get out of this?
Hit
I'm gonna
escape.
try that now.
Glenn,
try
hit
the
escape
video.
on your keyboard. Hit escape.
Limerick Township asked somebody here if we had the ability to catalog all of the.
Let me preface with, so the old playground, if you remember, there was a fence that went around there. There was wood pickets with names of donors who paid for them to help support the playground. So when we took them down, a lot of them were broken and rotten, but we took them down the best we could. So there was a lot of them. So the school, the Interact, I apologize, I forget what organization, but at the high school, we shipped them over there, and you're going to see a video on what this, the class did over there. I believe it's special needs. I can't think of the name of that, but anyway, they organized them with a database, and there's like a 3 or so minute video we're going to play of what they did. It was a great project.
Limerick Township asked somebody here if we had the ability to catalog all of the boards that they are taking down to repair and make, Mandarack Park a little bit more user-friendly, up to date. So when Gina asked if we could potentially catalog as a data entry project, I 100% agreed, with a lot of consult with Gina, myself. We even got Mr. Brubaker involved, the media specialist. We figured out how to do it very easily, and we have been working on this since January 29th. The kids are getting a lot faster, and that just means that they are getting better at the data entry. So basically, that's what we're doing, is cataloging all the boards that our township took down, to then hopefully, when people want to pick them up again, they'll be able to find them a lot easier. Outside of the classroom, they have to use their bodies. They have to, again, we had some PT consult with, picking things up. They have to wheel large bins filled with about 20 to 30 pickets inside of them into 2 different elevators. We have to enter a lot of rooms of the school, some, quietly because there's classes going on, just strength building in general. Another thing that I'm having them do, when I'm picking up the pickets, I tend to pick up like 2 or 3 at a time, and our kids are really just picking up 1 at a time. So a lot of times that, even letting them know, like, you can pick up 2 at a time, or 3 at a time, and it gets done a little faster. Everybody in transition work, the students have all abilities. Some can do the data entry, some are really good at like following directions and retrieving and placing the boards in the correct spots. And then some students I have, like, delivering boards and retrieving big bundles of boards. So it's really where we are. I don't have a specific schedule because the piece of the boards are finishing at all different times. So it's really like whoever's in the class, we just sort of have, and I have jobs sort of already created. Some of the names of the jobs that we have for this project, we have an index analyst. So they are the ones that are alphabetizing and grouping, a catalog technician, details matter, a logistics specialist. Those are the students that will, move inventory with precision, and they transport, retrieve, and load up the boards into our secondary holding area very, very safely. We have an operations supervisor. So I give that to like 1 student in the class or myself, or an assistant. But 1 period of the day, I do have a student helper that she comes in. She has senior privilege, and she could leave, but she comes in my 7th period class and just helps out. She wants to do service work and that kind of stuff. So she's often like our operations supervisor, and she really just assists me so well. We have a storage coordinator. That's somebody that might move the boards from my room to the next space. A quality control inspector. So that's something that like Ella would do, would be like reading the boards for me. They are basically entering into the Google form, and the Google form has questions that spits it all out into the Google Sheets easily to be able to search. After everything's logged, in, then they're all down in a kind of a secondary sorting area. We're going to be then taking the 4 sections that are sorted alphabetically, each section at a time. We're going to take them back up to probably my room or back down to the basement, depending on where the pallets will fit. Then we're going to be alphabetizing them, all the A's together, all the B's together, all the C's together. But that process is going to be a lot easier because they're already in smaller groups. So we just have to take the small group and make it into smaller groups. And then after they're in smaller groups, then we will load them back onto the pallets in the basement in alphabetical order. And then we'll let the township know that they can pick the 4 pallets back up. We'll give them access to the Google Sheet, and then the rest is for them.
Well, it was a very great, wonderful program that they did. We're so happy to cooperate with them. So that being said, anybody know how to work the AG? So just as one follow-up, now that we have the pallets back, this Friday, beginning this Friday, we are going to be doing a social media blast beginning tomorrow. So beginning Friday at noon through next Thursday, all the pallets are going to be organized in categories under the pavilion, and people can come pick them up as they can. We're hoping that they will come, those who want them can come pick them up. And then hopefully we can return them to those who, whose names are on there. And then any that are left, we'll figure out what to do with them afterwards. So Park and Rec is organizing this. You'll see posts coming out. So overall, a great project related to the old playground, and as we look forward to the new one. So that's all I have on that.
Great, thank you. Amazing. So we do have a special fire police appointment this evening. A member of the Limerick Fire Department, Sean Actel, desired to become a member of the Special Fire Police. The Special Fire Police are described as firemen cloaked with police powers. These volunteers are provided with full powers to regulate traffic and to keep crowds under control at any fire or emergency, and to exercise their police powers which are necessary to prevent interference with work of the firemen or the police department. Do I have a motion to approve the appointment of John Actel?
So moved. Second.
Do I have any board comment? Do I have any resident comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great. Sean, if you would like to join me over there. All right, welcome. So, do you, Sean Actel, having been duly appointed an officer of the Special Fire Police for the Township of Limerick, solemnly swear to affirm that you will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the Ordinance of Limerick Township, and the bylaws of Limerick Township Fire Department? And do you further swear or affirm that you will perform and discharge the duties of your office with fidelity, that you have not paid nor promised pay or contribute directly or indirectly, nor will you knowingly receive directly or indirectly any money or other valuable things for performance or non-performance of any act pertaining to your office other than compensation allowed by law? Well, there's more. And that you will represent yourself and the community in the most appropriate manner at all times. Great, congratulations. Anyone wants to join?
Welcome to the Fire Police of Limerick Fire Department, and I'd like to present you with your badge of authority. Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations and thank you again. And now we move on to our subdivision and land development. I'm looking for 2601 Fruitville Crossing. Hi, how are you?
And what I've just handed out is identical to what will be on the screen, provided it works.
I'm gonna turn the floor over to you. I guess we're turning it over to Dan.
Let me just introduce the reason you're here this evening is the project is going through preliminary plan review by the township consultants. There are a number of waivers that have been identified. There are some special circumstances with this development, that there was a settlement previously with the Township Zoning Hearing Board, the township, and the resident community behind there that have some bearing on the waivers. We, as a staff and our consultants, felt that, and I think the applicant did as well, that they would like to review the waivers that's been identified as part of the land development to make sure everyone's on the same track as you're moving forward with the project. So this is just a discussion on the waivers to get some board feedback.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Eric Christakis. I'm from Buckley, Bryan, Warren, Morris.
Can you do me a favor? Can you speak as close as you can to the mic?
You got it.
I know on the planning commission one, if you weren't speaking close to the mic, it was very hard
Oh, it wasn't
for
picking
people
me
to
up.
see online.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll try and do my best. to get
great,
close
thank
to it.
you.
So I'll start over. My name is Ari Christakis. I'm an attorney at Buckley, Bryan, Warren, Morris in Westchester, and I represent the project. With me here tonight is Matt Kears from Bowler Engineers. He's the project engineer, and Sandy Kozak from Bowman. She's our traffic engineer. So because this is our first introduction and we wanted to go over the waivers with you, and because we just did kind of a line-by-line review with the Planning Commission on the 14th, I hadn't intended to do that tonight, although we're happy to answer questions about any particular waiver that you'd like. To kick off, I think I'd just like to give you a little bit of an understanding of what the project is, how we got to this point so that everyone has the same baseline information. So the project involves the construction of 70 townhomes and 6 single-family detached homes, as well as 92,000 square feet of non-residential space along Ridge Pike here at Fruitville Road. So this line that you see here is the present configuration of Fruitville Road. In addition to the construction of the various uses I just described, the project also involves the realignment of Fruitville Road. Presently, Fruitville Road and Airport Road are offset by about 150 feet. That the traffic engineers can explain why that's not ideal, but I think anyone who lives in the neighborhood recognizes why. It makes it very difficult to make left turns out onto Ridge Pike. So this plan, as Dan alluded to, we had an opportunity to switch from the prior approach of two different plans, unify these into one plan, and realign Fruitville Road so that it comes to a new four-way intersection with Airport Road. That intersection at Airport Road and Ridge Pike is already signalized. Obviously, that will continue and it will provide the appropriate lanes and turning movements for all directions. So that's the overview of what we're proposing. Dan alluded to a settlement agreement. The full extent, the only way in which this plan does not precisely conform to the township zoning ordinance is that we have a handful of the townhomes located closer to Ridge Pike than would otherwise be permitted under the ordinance. The Main Street District requires a residential setback of 300 feet by agreement with the township in order to accommodate the configuration of Fruitville Road. That was modified to provide a minimum distance of about 180 feet at this location. That's the only way in which this plan doesn't conform to the township zoning ordinance. And we did obtain variance relief in order to bring it into compliance with the ordinance. What we're talking about tonight are subdivision and land development waivers, which are different. They're a zoning ordinance and a subdivision and land development ordinance are enacted pursuant to two different portions of the municipality's planning code. They have different standards, different purposes, different case law, and the standards for the granting of a modification of this type of more technical provision is of a lesser moment. So a zoning variance requires the applicant to prove that that there are unique physical conditions that make it impossible to use the property in a reasonable way. That's not the standard for a variance, or excuse me, not the standard for a waiver that we're talking about tonight. The standard here is, does it present an undue hardship? And does the alternative represent an acceptable means of dealing with that hardship? So as you can see, it's a reduced standard. We understand 28 waivers is a lot of waivers though. We get it. That's why we're here tonight and we want to talk through what those are. So just to give you a sense of sort of how those break out, we have proposed 28 waivers. I will tell you tonight, one of them is coming off the list. You may have heard us explain this at the Planning Commission. The last waiver in the waiver letter, number 28, which related to the width of sidewalks along Fruitville Road here. We're going to withdraw that. We've determined that we have enough space that we can accommodate 5-foot wide sidewalks there. So that is one change to the waiver list for tonight. The other big change to the plan, which was mentioned at the Planning Commission, but isn't yet reflected on the plan, is wetlands were identified in the vicinity of this building. As a result, that building will be eliminated from the project and not replaced. So those 4 units, 4 townhome units in this building will be removed in the subsequent resubmission after we collect feedback from the township consultants. So that's another change that you should be aware of. Ultimately, the waivers that we're requesting all are primarily related to the relocation of the road, which involves 2 fixed points. It's important that you understand this at the outset. First, the location of it where Airport Road meets Ridge Pike is fixed. We can't move that one. The location where Fruitville Road meets Montella Circle here is also fixed. We cannot move that point either. So this configuration was originally designed in order to maximize the space retained for development, even accounting for the inefficiency of having to create a curve in the road there. So, so that's the roadway realignment. Let's talk quickly about the groups of different waivers. So we have 2 waivers related to stormwater management. Matt can explain what those are. They relate to the depth of the pipe and to flow rates. He can walk you through what's involved in that. We have the second category that we have are for conditions relating to neighboring properties. Just for reference, those are waivers 16, 17, 26, and 27. The township's subdivision and land development ordinance sensibly suggests that applicants should form connections with adjoining properties for parking, driveways, et cetera, whenever possible. Unfortunately, in this case, it's not possible. To the west, we have what everyone refers to as the golf cart sales company. The difference in grade along this edge of the property makes it impractical to make connections there. Not to mention their facility doesn't lend itself to interconnectivity. On the other side, to the east, there's an existing driveway and parking area that is not conducive to us connecting to, because it would eliminate parking spaces for them and change the way that circulation works within their parking lot as well. So the ordinance is written in such a way that that constitutes 4 waivers, having to do with each side and also having to do with the different types of access. So, so those are the waivers related to the adjoining properties. That's 4 of them. Yes.
You said something about parking. Now, so does that mean that the car dealership part staying, just being moved?
No. So the use on this adjoining property is for the sale of golf carts.
No, I meant the other spot where it currently exists now.
No, all of the existing buildings on the properties would be raised or removed and replaced.
They're not building anything new to stay there.
Correct. There would be no automotive use on the property. That's right.
Did you have any discussions with the owner on the east side about any connectivity?
I wasn't actually party to any of those. I don't handle the real estate for this client. I believe that they did have a conversation at one time about acquiring easement rights if necessary, but I don't know what the result of that conversation was.
Okay.
Moving on, we do have waivers related to parking area size and configuration. So these are for things like how wide parking spaces have to be, or how many parking spaces must, or how the spaces must be configured relative to parking islands and things like that, maximum number of parking spaces in any given location. Those are waivers 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then all of the remaining waivers relate to the roadway relocation. They all have to do with either the configuration or the curvature with crowning or the curbing or the separation between driveway access points for the various roadways within this community. Some of them relate to these internal roads, which are referred to as Road A and Road B. Sandy can give you more information about how those work, but they are nonetheless related to the roads because, as we say, they must connect at these fixed points. Also things related to road naming and that sort of thing. All right. So that's the full panoply of what we're asking for. I want to be clear that we designed this in order to maximize compliance. It was very carefully reviewed in order to ensure compliance with the zoning ordinance, both by our team and by the township staff. And it's not our intention to avoid or escape conformity with any of the township's provisions. The reality, though, is that the configuration of this particular type of relocation project and realignment project necessitates these types of waivers. Our design professionals can walk through some of the mitigation measures. Everything's on the table. We are talking with the township consultants. Things may include modifications to speed limits along roadways in order to make them safer, signage, etc. So there are lots of options for ways that we can mitigate some of the negative effects of these waivers, and that would all be developed as we go forward through land development. So with that, if there are questions about specific waivers or groups of waivers, we're happy to address them. If not, I can turn it over to Sandy to give kind of an explanation of next steps in the process with PennDOT.
I have a question with the 9-foot parking stalls. I don't like narrow parking spaces because I drive a big SUV and I know I'm not the only one that does. And it's very difficult to get out when you're in a small spot. So I kind of don't like that one. There was another one too about width of the roadway. You wanted to come down from 30 to number 4?
Is waiver number 4. It's the cartway from.
Is that it?
Yeah, waiver number 4. Going
Yeah,
from our 30 to 24.
So let me just address the parking stall width issue first. 2 points there. One is the residents who live in this community are intended to park in their driveway or in their garage. Those spaces are adequate size for the types of uses that you're talking about. What we're really talking about are the parking spaces throughout the rest of the development.
Oh, the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What we're really talking about is the parking spaces throughout the rest of the development. These spaces at the commercial front spaces, and then the visitor parking spaces within the town community.
Last point I'm making, a lot of times when you get to these businesses with a narrow space, it's just difficult to get in and out, and I'm only one, but I would prefer that it was a wider parking space. I get the part with the development part, that's great, they're parking in the driveway, I would prefer that. But I'm talking, I'm assuming that the parking spaces you were talking about were at the businesses.
Yes,
So that's, I think 9 feet's kind of narrow.
we agree. In a perfect situation, we would want to accommodate the 9.5 foot wide stalls. The reality, though, is that we wouldn't be able to accommodate the number of parking spaces that your zoning ordinance requires at that wide width. In other words, if all of the spaces grew by 1/2 foot, we wouldn't be able to accommodate the number of spaces that your zoning ordinance requires.
So just a clarification, you said
Microphone when you can.
Sorry.
move it over, it's your mic right now. So the zoning ordinance specifies the number of spaces based on the amount of commercial space.
Yes, it specifies a number of spaces, either based on the amount of commercial space or the number of dwelling units. So there's a different calculation for each.
Right, so then by reducing some of the commercial space, then you don't have the issue of space for the number of parking spaces.
So it would be a total. So because the Main Street district links the two types of uses together, you would deduct both at that point.
Right, so that would be less housing and less commercial.
That's
so
true.
that you could get the parking spaces to match up to the ordinance.
That's true.
How many spaces are you picking up with that?
You have a number, Matt?
I appreciate the fact that you pulled it to you. Right out of the gate.
I think there's a button right here. Might have to press it.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact difference between if you were to go 9.5 versus 9. This plan was part of a settlement agreement plan that was prior to my time on the project. But a 9 foot stall is generally common industry standard and accepted across the industry. So they're not 8.5, which is what you would consider more of a compact stall. 9 is pretty generic.
No, I'm still.
Are we able to get some feedback from our traffic engineer on that? You're on. Minding your own business over there.
Yeah, so 9 by 18 is a standard stall width in the industry. It's pretty common in a lot of ordinances, but I've seen some require as wide as 10, some are 9.5, some are 9. And it's also a function of the aisle width. You want to have at least a 24-foot aisle width for a 9 foot stall, which they do have. Just something I might throw out there if you want to make a compromise, if you're concerned about, accessing these spaces, maybe the high turnover spaces along the front of the retail could be wider, and the ones that are going to be used less often over in that parking lot to the east. If you wanted to narrow that, and just a thought, just to throw out there, if we're looking for a compromise.
I would settle on that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Cal has a question for you.
But that's actually a suggestion I'm gonna put on the table. Also gonna ask, how many parking spaces are you provided? If code requires X, how many spaces are you over of requirement?
268 is required. We're at 271. on this plan, we are going to lose a handful just because right now you can kind of see the dead end parking here. We're going to remove some of that to provide backup parking. So if you get to the dead end, you can use a striped out stall.
Because the additional parking spaces you're providing, to Jerry's comment, you can make those also 9.5. And you can just add a nice percentage of section that qualifies and meets the requirement. And then this way you'll still be asking for a waiver, but a partial waiver. It is not a full waiver, but you provide some of these spaces as required.
It may also be the case, sorry, it may also be the case that with the elimination of 4 units, we may have more flexibility with the number of spaces available.
So would you be looking into?
Oh, certainly, yes.
Would you be looking into providing something? And then your waiver will probably have to be updated to state partial waiver, not a full waiver. If the board is okay with this.
I agree with that. Life is complex. So, I have, is there some other questions?
Go ahead.
I have a couple questions. What is the actual, in waiver 1, what is the actual pipe size that you want to go to?
So the waiver is not for the pipe size, it's for the velocity, which really means that what we're trying, so there's a minimum velocity of 3 feet per second, and we are not providing that. We are providing less than that, but our calculations show that our structures, our manholes, our inlets, they're not flooding, and that the pipe still has capacity to handle the flow. It just doesn't meet that velocity speed.
And
Just,
I'd like to provide just a little clarification. What the velocity means is whether or not the pipe has the pitch that is needed or it is flatter. The flatter you go, the less velocity you have. And this is what the request is, to have a pipe with lesser velocity, which means it is flatter. In most cases, when there is a pipe in this condition, but within a private property, it is not taking flow from a public property, it is acceptable practice. But if and when it involves flows coming from public property going through their system, we would have a concern.
that was my question, I guess, because at the end of the day, if we make those changes, does that allow for sediment to accumulate? And then how does that get remediated? And how does that get resolved when you're dealing with townhouse units and you're also dealing with this commercial piece of it at some point in time? Though I understand the commercial is not coming today, all of my decision-making is gonna come that this commercial is gonna be there. And I have unfortunately been on the end of some sewer issues in my life when you try to blend this stuff together. So I have my concerns about that.
Would you like me or?
Anyone who wants to answer.
Go ahead, Cal.
It's not uncommon to design a pipe with a 0.5% pitch. For example, 0.5% is like really almost flat, but really isn't flat. But there is enough flow to flush out the pipe and nothing will stay in. When do you have concerns? When you have a pipe that is not smooth on the inside, when you have something that is called corrugated, it has ribs on the inside, everything just sits there, sediment sits there, builds up, pipe goes corroded, that's when you have concerns. In cases like this, we're pretty confident it will work. And please keep in mind the applicant, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No worries.
The applicant would have to enter into an operation and maintenance agreement, which they are on the hook for upkeep and maintenance, not today only, not tomorrow. It's for as long as the project is on.
And then once the project is done,
The
That-
duration of
It's for the
the
duration.
ownership, so.
For the life of the project, there's no way
that
out.
is one of my
This-
questions on my little sheet here.
Just to add a little detail to it, it will be a recorded document that binds what will ultimately be the homeowners association for this community to, pardon me, to both, as Cal said, inspect and maintain the, we call them BMPs, the best management practices, right? So all of the pipes, all of the basins, they have to be maintained, inspected regularly, pursuant to that agreement.
And also, when you complete your project, stormwater related project, you are required under the MPDS permit by the Conservation District to record the as-built also to make sure everything was designed and is functioning for the approved.
Before anyone else at the
Yeah,
moment?
and another one. What's the hardship being caused by 2 feet from finished grade as opposed to 1.5 for covering?
So similar to what Cal explained, part of the industry standard is you have a certain minimum. Manufacturers allow less as long as it's within a grass area. If it was over a paved area, you have a higher concern with vehicles traveling over top of it. But the pipes that we've indicated are in grass areas. So the manufacturer provided a minimum of 1.5, actually a 1 foot cover. We're going 1.5. So we feel confident that we're meeting manufacturer standards and there's no concern to the public.
Okay.
So why do that versus meeting our ordinance?
And so it's really a construction means and methods to avoid digging down further when you can comply with the manufacturer recommendations and help limit the excavation. And also as you traverse down the pipe system, if you meet that minimum, the further you go downstream, the deeper and deeper it gets. So where you can kind of leverage a little bit of shallower pipe, it has a larger return at the outfall of the pipe run.
I guess I go back to why our ordinances have been in place for a while. And if it was better to be more shallow, then why isn't the ordinance that?
Our ordinance, number one, is meant to, in this case, I'm not speaking in general, is meant to regulate, keeping in mind the vehicular traffic and the load in traffic on the road. So whenever you have a large load that is traveling vibration, you need the pipe to be protected and much deeper. Had they been, for example, proposing this within a public road, again, it will not be approved, it will not be permitted. If it is on private, which is lesser vibration and load on the pavement, we have done projects within 6 inches of the surface, but then you change the material of the pipe. The strength of the pipe is stronger, different material to make sure that it withholds any force that is on top. So it is, again, it's not uncommon, it is common, but it only works within private property, not public property that is exposed to heavier vehicular traffic.
And to what Matt said, if you could explain the practice of BMP, where DEP and the Conservation District is constantly asking designs to undertake BMP to reduce what Matt said, excavation and impacts and things like that. Because there's a general standard that I understand BMP that allows for these variances if everything's functional.
Yeah, so if you want to follow what a best management practice is, what they're proposing falls within those parameters. The less disturbance you create, the more you maintain the environment in its natural state. This is what the BMP practice promotes. And in this case, it does meet design criteria. It does meet design requirement. Again, within a private property.
Okay. I have another question. I have a question on number 4 and the cartway that's there. If I'm understanding this correctly, when you shrink this from the 30 to the 24, I believe we're making a lot of assumptions that there's no on-street parking. And I'm going to say that everyone is behaving at the utmost compliance 24/7. And I don't think that that's human nature. And I think that human nature has to factor into this. And on someone's absolute worst day scenario, where there's a UPS truck making a delivery, somebody has parked illegally and somebody needs an ambulance. Like that does not go well together in that small or cartway. I have concerns that you're also depending on your HOA to enforce the no parking that's there. And that can that's going to change based off of who gets in charge. That's a governmental body in essence. So they may go more slack than being a homeowners association that's more rigid. I have safety concerns with a shorter cartway for the smaller one.
So to that end, there are a couple of things. Thank you, Matt. There are a couple of things that we do typically with plans, and Matt, Sandy can tell you more about them. One is, and I think this came up at the Planning Commission as well, you'll note that we provide 2 means of access to every, well, basically unit on the site. We also provide, there's also fire access from Montella Circle as well. We had previously included an emergency access to Montella Circle. It was in the vicinity of this area. We could look at that again as a potential emergency access. It's proposed as planted buffer though. So to the extent that we're going to plant plants in it, we can't also use it as an emergency access. So there's a decision to be made there. It could be maintained. We could also talk to the township's fire marshal about what kind of distance he finds acceptable to the rear of these homes. Because to your point, if you had a UPS truck here and I don't know, somebody parked across the driveway here, these homes in the middle theoretically could be vulnerable. That's where access from Montella Circle might be useful. Similarly, we would have access from Ridge Pike to serve the buildings closest to Ridge Pike as well. So the multiple means of access. Finally, the matter of enforcement, all of the no parking requirements can be just like the stormwater maintenance, can be memorialized in a recorded instrument that allows the township to enforce it. If you should find that there are people illegally parked there, or if the ambulance does come and find that there's illegal parking on the street, there's a point of enforcement and opportunity and a legal basis for the township to step in and insist that the HOA do what it said it would do. Sandy, do you have anything that you wanted to add on that?
Yeah, I was going to point out, these are basically along roads A and B. So a lot of the reason that we can't have the on-street parking and the wider cartway width in these areas because you have your driveways for those individual townhomes. So they're across from one another. So if people were to park, they would actually be blocking their own neighbors into their own garages and driveways. So even if we were to widen the road here, that wouldn't solve the on-street parking issue that you were pointing out.
Oh, no, I do have parking concerns too. So the lack of parking that feeds all of these townhomes. And I know you're going to tell me that this meets our ordinance because I think I've already heard that. But I do think that when you have, like in that circle over there, you've got 21 homes over there and 10 extra parking spaces. I mean, there's going to be more than one kid who has a birthday party on the same weekend that is going to have family and friends in town. And I really feel like it's our job to reduce friction for our residents and you know, situations where people are getting angry and frustrated with each other. And I see that as kind of our role is if we can see around a corner in some capacity. That's usually helpful.
So one way that we might address it going forward is, you had mentioned earlier that the non-residential space at the front is not going to be constructed until we have a user for that. Some portion of the parking area might be constructible on a temporary basis to provide that overflow parking in the meantime for the HOA, because I think you would agree that once the community is built as depicted, there'd be more than enough parking for a birthday party on a weekend. That we would have.
Yeah,
It's
but
just
see, I
in the
would
meantime.
completely disagree with you on that. And here's why. Because you're in my wheelhouse now on this one. So when you are renting those retail spaces, you are also coming in with a CAM fee. And that CAM fee is your insurance, your parking, and your whatever. So when you are renting one of these locations, you are making your decisions based off of the parking that you see. And you are not making assumptions that there are going to be 5 people in the townhouses behind you that are going to have 100 people graduation party on one given weekend. But you are paying the CAM fee to take care of that parking lot. You are paying the insurance on that parking lot. And those are by right your parking spaces. And it gets back to another point where that is a point of conflict between now you're going to have the coffee shop who has to tow away a car, that's bad for their business. Why are we even putting that point of friction in there? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. The good news is that we're at the beginning of that process and we can solve those problems ahead of time. So,
That's what- yes.
yeah. So for example, if we wanted to take, let's say in the interim, before the spaces are built, if we built out, I don't know, a row of parking in this area, for example, to accommodate additional overflow parking, it's perfectly reasonable and acceptable to make it so that that condition is also memorialized in the condominium association documents. This is a shared driveway access. So this HOA will, in perpetuity, maintain these driveway accesses as well. There'll be a cost sharing arrangement between the non-residential buildings and the residential users of the HOA. But the HOA is the primary one moving, clearing snow, making sure leaves are removed, et cetera. And it's completely reasonable to say that in the future, those are reserved spaces so that they wouldn't be misunderstood by the tenants, be part of their CAM payment. In fact, it would be a benefit to the tenants because the HOA would pay more of the CAM payments and maintenance associated with those spaces. It might make it more attractive to a tenant, the right tenant who finds that weekend use acceptable. They're not going to use the spaces. So yes, this is the time to have those conversations, and that's on the radar screen.
Now, are we talking cartway in the parking area, in the commercial area? Or are we talking the cartway in the residential street?
It's just in the residential streets. The drive aisles in your parking lots are the 24-foot wide, which is what they're required to be.
I don't like narrow developments. We have many places that come back and the HOA wants us to take over. This is going to happen, whether it's 15 years from now or 20.
I'm sorry, take over what?
The road.
Oh,
We've had a couple that way that you can't get through because they're parking on the street. You got some people that exceed their driveway use, or they're not using it. So what's the depth on these driveways that I'm gonna get a car, I wanna get two cars off the street? I'm okay if they're not in their garage, because I got a garage and I can't use it for my car either because I got stuff in it. I just wanna make sure that these people that have their vehicles, it's off the street. And that the HOA is gonna enforce no parking. Because everybody think, well, I can park in front of my house. Well, I want traffic to be able to get through there. You got snow removal. These guys got little beat up trucks. They don't care how fast they get through it. They just want to get that stuff done. And if it's not wide enough, there's going to be damage. I get to see a whole row of mirrors coming off. So I'm talking.
So let me take them in order. The depth of the driveways, Matt, do you have that?
20.
20 foot. How much is that?
So just your typical parking space is 9 by 18.
Okay.
It's about 2 feet longer so that the car is not, the back of the car doesn't sit out into the sidewalk.
Right. I'm just thinking of a big SUV. And then I just don't like them to be narrow. We've had some places that you drive in them now, and I can name a couple streets. It's like driving in a one-way street. I mean, it's wide enough for one car. And there's a couple, like if you got sun glare, you're not going to see that truck coming the other way.
So Sandy can correct me if I'm wrong, but a 24-foot wide cartway is a standard sort of width for the roadway. It's not. I don't think that you would find it as being a one lane.
I understand that, but I'm telling you, I don't want it.
I have to say, I do agree. It's a lived experience for me and my HOA, to be honest with you. We experienced something similar where our roads, unfortunately, were not a standard width. We had at one point, my HOA went to investigate trying to turn them over to the township and could not. And now, residents in my townhouse community, we're forced to continue to pay for the roads. So in essence, we're double taxed because not only do we have to pay our roads, but we also have to pay for all the roads and other townhome associations that had their roads dedicated that aren't forced to just pay for their roads. So you're basically, in many ways, when you're not conforming to the standard width and those roads aren't being dedicated to the township up front, we miss out on liquid fuels money. There are other problems that then face those residents when they're forced to maintain the roads privately as part of their HOA.
Well, so we had proposed these as private roads, but if the township would like to take dedication of them, I don't think we'd have any objection to that.
But if we're gonna take
Pardon me,
dedication of them,
I don't think we would object, I'm sorry for the people online. We would not object to offering them for
if
dedication.
we're gonna
Then I
take
want
them,
30
then I
feet.
want them at the standard
30 feet.
width. I want them
Right.
at the 30 foot, and I don't want to issue a waiver for them. So. Because either you're gonna keep them private and don't come back to, I mean, they're always gonna have an option. Boards change, you know, you can't bind future boards, but it's just more ideal to have it at the standard width. We
Well,
have an
I can say
ordinance,
that-
we have an ordinance for a reason, right? So,
We've carefully examined it, and I don't believe there's a way to accommodate the realignment of the road with 30-foot wide cartways in that location, given the relief that we already obtained from the Board of Common Pleas. Had that been the township's position at the time, we would have sought different relief from the court. We would have negotiated a different agreement. But this was the position that the township took at the time.
But
And that's the way-
wasn't your settlement really only for, like, didn't you only go for the setback like you had said initially?
Yes, yeah, and that was the configuration that we achieved. That was the way in which we reached that final configuration that the township agreed to.
But I don't think, go ahead.
I think we should clarify something. So are you saying that the settlement had referenced in there the exact number of units that you're moving forward with?
It did reference the plan, which references the number of units, and it says this is the plan. Now, it was subject to modification, and for example, we have to remove those 4 units for the wetlands.
It's
If-
always subject to design. We all know conditional use process goes. We all know zoning process goes, but then everything is subject to the actual design. Because when you go for conditional use, when you go for zoning, you never, ever complete a design and then go, because then you put in the cart before the horse. You need to go through the approval process for the use of the zoning and then design based on that.
Right.
so I'm gonna ask my question a different way. Can you tell me what the hardship is
For
for waiver number 6? As opposed to a wanting consistency, can you
Do you
explain
mean
where
what,
the
do you mean
hardship
number
is?
6 or number 4?
I'm actually looking at number 6.
6?
Mhm.
I just wanted to get on the same page as you.
so, yeah, so, well, which one do you want me to answer first?
You can answer number 6 first.
All
and then
right,
you
so
can answer
I'm actually
number
going to defer to our traffic engineer to explain why the 28-foot wide cartway on Fruitville Road makes sense.
4. Not why it makes sense, why it presents a hardship
Um,
that you're asking a waiver for.
in order to, Sandy, why don't you explain what the waiver is?
I read that it's for consistency. It will result in a consistent roadway width. It will result in a consistent cartway width along Fruitville Road. What I want to understand is what the hardship is and why it's a required or a needed waiver.
Would it not be that the existing cartway width is 28 feet?
That doesn't prevent you from making the other portion of it 30 feet.
So in as much as the widening itself,
Yes.
the widening represents a task, effort, something that would be necessary. If we can provide an alternative that doesn't require that extra step, that's satisfactory, that's the basis for a waiver under the SALDO. The hardship is the conformity itself and the existing condition on the ground. If there were no cartway there now, I would agree there's no hardship to say, no, why would we have to build it? Why could we build a smaller one? In this case, the hardship is that the cartway is already 28 feet wide. We'd like to maintain it for consistency purposes.
But that's not a hardship, that's a preference,
Okay.
right? Because you could build it to 30 feet, but you prefer to build it to 28.
So to the extent that the additional work would be required, that's the hardship. That's the essence of it.
Okay.
So
Understood.
just like the prior example of,
Microphone.
sorry, just like the prior example of the depth of the pipe, the depth of the pipe is related to, it is waivable. It's not a hard and fast rule.
Understood.
It's the same approach.
You gave me my answer. Thank you.
I do have another question. So on number 7, can you explain to me what you're talking about here? Like, point to it on the map for me.
Sure.
Because I want to make sure that before I ask my question, we are actually on the same spot.
This goes back to,
Oh.
this goes back to roads A and B. Because these are going to be private roads, we're proposing to have the reduced right-of-way width, the 24 with 5 foot wide sidewalks there. That adds up to 34 feet, and that's kind of what we're asking for, is to include just that area in the right-of-way there. If we were to have a wider right-of-way, that's going to impact all of our setbacks for what we're looking at for the townhome layouts.
That, when you go down into that little circle there, like into that bottom portion, yes, into that entrance, into that shopping center there, that is really your only turning into that, what's going to be that retail space, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I have some concerns about that, and I see in here, and maybe I'm referencing the wrong waiver, but you're not accounting for a tractor trailer. So we don't know what any of those retail businesses are going to be, and if they're going to need a tractor trailer. So you have mentioned in there that it works for a garbage truck and that it works for a fire truck, but you haven't said anything about a tractor trailer. I know I get tractor trailers. I get a tractor trailer every week, and I'm a retail store. So it happens. So not knowing what they are, I don't know if that's enough with a tractor trailer coming in through there.
We'll look at that, see if we can accommodate a tractor trailer. If we can't, then, I'm sorry, if a tractor trailer can't be accommodated through there, obviously we would have to restrict the tenancy of the building to say no tractor trailers are permitted. It's a controllable feature of the use of the building.
It's a very limiting feature of the building. Very limiting feature of the building. So, and I do understand that it's not built, and I understand that that's not part of your project, but at the end of the day, this is a Main Street district, and we need to, this isn't you are fortunate that you don't have to build the Main Street portion first or the commercial portion first. But we still have to think about that and how that works and how that functions. And I'm not sure I'm interested in limiting what goes in there. Is anyone here interested in limiting that?
There's no entrance to that building off of Ridge Pike, right?
Also doesn't.
No, there would be no direct access from Ridge Pike.
I have 3 more questions, but I have done enough tonight. So I think you kind of know where
The other question
where I
is,
am.
why are we taking a commercial vehicle into a residential area to make a delivery at a commercial property?
I'm sorry, Pat, can you say that again?
I said, even if you have a restaurant or something like that, there's always going to be a tractor trailer coming in, even if it's a small.
I was going to say a U.S. food truck is
even if
a
it's
big
not
thing.
43 feet long, you're going to have ones 36 feet long. A lot of food service guys come in with these short trailers.
Well, we'll see.
I wouldn't want to
Maybe
see
we
a
can
tractor
accommodate a
trailer
tractor
coming
trailer.
into the residential area to make a delivery. Same
So-
thing with a straight truck coming in there.
Sandy, can you say a little bit about the driveway access at that location and what would be involved in adding access to Ridge Pike?
Yeah, we would have to go through the building basically, because there really is no spot to put it. And I know the building would have to be shifted closer to the realignment of the road in order for us to get that in there. And I know PennDOT would have a major issue with with us putting it close to the signalized intersection, since that's one of the things that we're trying to avoid there in terms of cleaning that up and having the intersections align with one another.
Where's the second exit out of that parking lot?
There isn't a second exit out of that particular pad site.
No, it is in and out all in that section
So-
there.
Right, so isn't that an emergency management plan?
No, because the building's accessible from Ridge Pike.
Yeah, you can still, from an emergency access standpoint, you can pull along Ridge Pike, close part of the road if you had to. All right, so.
You know what, I do lie, I have one more. Sorry. It is the one about Ridge Pike where you don't want to, the waiver where you're not gonna expand it. Because you don't see a need currently, I believe that's what the waiver's saying. It's on the west side.
You're talking about over here with the cartway width.
Yes, yeah, on Ridge Pike. So I want to know if that is limiting us. So that can be for our traffic or Cal or whatever. Is that limiting us in the future if we get some amazing retail and a busy office space over there from putting in a dedicated turn lane at that point where we would be going east, but you would be wanting to make a left into the shopping center? If we don't do that expansion, do we take away the ability for us to eventually put in a turning lane if this is a really busy location and we want to be able to keep traffic moving quickly?
So from a turning lane standpoint, I don't think you want to do that. You have the Triad Trucking here, and they have a pretty big cartway width opening here. So they are actually making lefts into this. So to put another access in here and have another left turn lane probably isn't a good idea. That's why we're going to use the left turn lane here exclusively for the traffic at the signal there.
That still gets you to the problem. You got a commercial vehicle making a left-hand turn into a residential area. I mean, if you were in a residential area, would you want a big truck coming by your house at 6:30 in the morning when they make their deliveries?
Pat, you're talking about the A and B road,
Yes.
correct?
Yeah, that little.
I just wanna make sure that we're talking about the same thing.
Entrance to the parking space here. That's, looks narrow enough. It looks pretty narrow for 18-foot straight truck to get in there.
I mean, you have that in other developments right now already. So it wouldn't be much different, to be honest. I'm just saying that
You got a
condition
commercial
exists
thing, you
already.
want to kind of keep the commercial separated from the residential.
The road is separating it.
I don't have my pointer, but on the commercial space by Road A, maybe if the proposed, thank you, if the proposed building footprint, is it possible to slide this footprint over as much as possible to this side and provide some kind of an access away from the intersection?
We can look at it. We'll look at it.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't know.
possible.
To be honest, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
We can look at it and see if the building could move over. It's going to affect parking and circulation.
Yeah, I understand. It's going to affect parking even here. Over here?
Yeah.
I think, all right, I don't want to
Look
speak
at
on
the
their behalf.
grade.
Yeah.
It's the
I'll look
grade.
into it.
We'll look at
Yeah.
it. Maybe it works.
Are you able to maybe consider doing something right, like coming off here into here and making the road here and maybe putting some parking over here instead?
So Sandy can
Shifting
explain it. It's a little bit like one of those puzzles where there's only one open space, and if you move something around, it creates other problems.
Fair enough, like,
But she can explain more about site distances and the curvature.
yeah. So right in here, like instead of like maybe make the road here, put parking behind here. Just an idea. I don't know if that even works, but
We could look at that, but I think then you're going to have like a T intersection here and then another one right down here that's going to be really close to it. So you're looking at
got it.
a very short distance in between there to have two different accesses across from one another.
We want to eliminate
Fair
offset
point.
intersections.
Fair point.
So talking about looping roads and buildings and things, was there a design that took Airport Road straight up and made a T?
No, we don't control that property, so we can't make that
I'm sorry,
alternative.
on your property, go straight up. No, yeah,
That puts us into Montello.
but then take your, I don't know what this road is, the one that does the long curve.
This is the realigned Fruitville. So at some
Correct,
point,
so I would
at some
say
point,
stopping Fruitville at your B, your road A and B.
that's kind of where it starts now.
Right, but the point is not do the crazy curve.
At some point, we might still have to do that curve because we do have to tie back into the existing alignment at some point. So you are going to end up with a curve somewhere in here.
Not too far. I'm just technology not. Can you hold it?
You hold the button.
Oh, now I understand the concern you guys all have. All right, so you take this, you go straight up, and then from here, you go straight over. And then all of this goes, all of this goes away. That's a technical term. You hear that? So this road goes straight up, and then this road gets bigger. And you still have your Fruitville, but it ends here. Thinking about the road, Stoddard. Used to go all the way to Township Line, and suddenly it's not. At some point, there was that decision to dead end it, but that would get rid of some of the crazy curve.
So
I
I
don't
think,
think you can because of the neighboring development. Because they own that portion of that property as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I'm not saying doing anything to the south. That's south.
Yeah.
It's just moving all of your commercial around so that you don't have some of the curves and angles going into AB, roads AB.
If I can just offer something for what it's worth from the history of this project. And I'm not here to advocate for them, I'm here to advocate for the township. They first came to Limerick with two separate plans, with Fruitville Road staying straight. They had a singular development plan on this side of Fruitville Road. They had a singular development plan on that side of Fruitville Road. The township, probably got to be 3 or 4 years ago, asked them to look at realigning that. PennDOT wants it, the township wants it, it's in our comprehensive plan, it has been, it's in our traffic impact plan. And so we did ask them to realign this because of the traffic flow coming down Fruitville from Swamp Lake, which is up here, which is just getting more and more because of the traffic that's in New Hanover and all those areas. It's coming down Swamp Lake, it's coming down to Lewis Road, it's cutting over to here. So from a township standpoint, from a planning perspective, long-term, this was a very high priority for the township. And that's why the settlement agreement came about based on the density that they needed to construct that. That if they were to just come down here and realign that, it's a lot less costly for them. So I'm just throwing that out from a long-range planning perspective of what we talked about 2 to 3 years ago with this.
So I'm not suggesting not. What I'm suggesting is that it's not a curve.
Yeah, and I think
It's
so.
a straight.
Yes, I think what you're indicating is straight out 90-degree turn, then 90-degree turn. For the flow of traffic, a curve it has a better flow of traffic than 290s.
Other than some of the waivers you guys have asked for. It sounds like it's been.
We would most likely still need those waivers to have the 90-degree curves that you're talking about us putting in instead of what we have shown here.
How far is the old Fruitville away from the new intersection?
yeah, it's about 150.
So, Cal, what's the distance they need, or the traffic engineer, what's the distance they need from an intersection to enter a parking lot? Is that enough space that they use that whole portion of Fruitville become an entrance? It's there, already existing.
So
Just
you're
a straight line.
you're referring to use this as,
Yeah, some of it, not the whole thing, but enough to get the traffic in there. Is it because it's 150 feet too short?
That would be something that would have to be run past PennDOT, and I think they would have an issue with us leaving and having an access that close when the goal of the project was to realign the road so that we wouldn't have closely spaced intersections in that section.
Well, then my suggestion is we'd have to move that commercial over to occupy the spot that was Fruitville Road, so we can get an entrance from Ridge Pike to get into that shopping center. Because A, if it's gonna be a busy place, I would rather see people coming off of Ridge Pike than going through a residential area to visit a business.
I think you already stated you're gonna take a look.
We'll
at
take a
it.
look at
And-
other ways to
and
get
see if
access
it
there.
works. If it works, it's fine. If it doesn't work, then you just come back and say, you know
We'll
what?
explain why.
We
Yeah.
tried, that's what it looks like. If it's not gonna work, oh yeah, it's gonna work.
Sure. So you're gonna take a look at shifting the commercial to the right and then trying to put a westbound, the furthest, yes, thank you. Thank you. Furthest west for an access into the retail space and everything. Okay.
Yes,
As a secondary.
Which could
access.
include a shared entrance with the golf group.
Potentially,
park
yes.
space. Yeah, I look at that if you could.
Sure.
Because I get it with the doing little T's is just gonna make more traffic. It's gonna be more difficult for trucks to get in there. So the curve works well. I'm just trying to look at how to use something that's going away, which you're not gonna use anymore, to just curve around, since it can't do it from the traffic light area.
Yeah, Jerry, can you come up?
All right, so there's a few things. I would not recommend using the existing Fruitville Road as an access just because it is too close to the traffic signal. First of all, we would never want to see left turns out from that onto Ridge Pike just because you're too close to the signal. Also, even if we were going to allow right turns in, I think we would want to see a decel lane so we don't have rear-end collisions with people slowing down, turning in there. And it's just too close to do that. So I do like the idea of shifting the access further to the west, though. I think that would work. I would just add, though, that if you're going to do that, also include a decel lane like you're doing for the right in on the eastern side. Again, we don't want to have rear-end collisions. And I think if you did that, you also eliminate a waiver because you would be widening Ridge Pike along that area to satisfy the ordinance. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone there if you do that. Just wanted to add that.
And for those at home, he is from the traffic engineering consulting company that we work with. All right, I guess resident comment? Oh, let me ask one more time. Is there any more board comment?
Can you talk about
Sorry,
the
Linda.
units in the back that you're gonna lose? Can you explain to the public?
Sure.
The 4 units in the back and why you're losing them?
sure. So as part of the due diligence to acquire the property, Lennar is our home builder. They went out and they conducted a site survey. They identified some wet space in this area. We then subsequently had a qualified wetlands delineation expert go out and map what's there. Like I say, that plan will be included in the resubmission. But basically, there's a small little area here. It's not even the full size of the building. It's probably about 2 of these units. That's wetlands. What will happen, the design is still in process. There will be a retaining, that part is low, right? So that's lower than Fruitville Road here. It's lower than Road A here. That, there will be a retaining wall built along the road that it may touch the edge of the wetlands that may come up. If it does, there's a provision in the code that allows that.
Yeah. Okay.
But there would be no structures, no habitable structures built touching the wetlands in any way. We would make sure that there's adequate, and Matt can tell you more, basically enough water going to it so that it maintains wetlands. We protect them, in other words. So those 4 units would be removed from the plan. They just wouldn't be constructed. That area would be left natural, subject to the changes for the roadway that we just talked about. And that's the process in that location.
Okay. Thank you.
So you're saying this section, buildings on the left,
This,
no, the ones on the left,
these here,
is that a higher, you're saying that's at a higher elevation?
relative to the wetlands that are next to it here, yeah. So these would be built up on this side. Matt can tell you more about the grading in particular, but the idea is that the wetlands would be lower than the road here. That's the key feature you need to know.
So is there a stream running through there now?
There's a stream further to the back here. I'm not exactly sure where it cuts through, but there is a stream back there. And there's a bridge along Fruitville Road that obviously we have to get the cars to. Thank you.
Any other board comment or questions? Do we have any resident questions? Comments? Take the microphone here.
You'll just keep,
Oh,
okay.
there you go.
Sorry, to say my name and address, or just name?
It's name and Limerick resident.
Okay. So, hi, Ali Sasek. I am a Limerick resident. I want to follow up on a couple of questions I asked at the last hearing that y'all came to. So, do you know how long that the Piazza Realty Company has owned the Gables? So, Whiskey Girl, the building on the western side.
I don't know the original date that they acquired it. It's been probably at least 20 years though.
Did you talk to them about renovating that building and having it be retail and apartments?
I did. They said that it's not possible. They had conducted an evaluation and they're not interested in renovating the existing building.
Okay. And then is there any update on the colors that these houses and townhomes would be?
No, it's something we can explore with the township through land development. We're happy to provide them. There are elevations provided in the materials, but I don't know that we've necessarily specified a specific color.
Yeah, please use different colors.
From what?
Beige, white, gray.
Okay.
Beige and white. And then if the buildings to be demolished, I just want to ensure that the Limerick Township Historical Society has permission and will have, a heads up that there is going to be a demolition happening, that we can do a walkthrough and get photos of that building before.
I can definitely offer you the external walkthrough. I don't know internally what the condition of the building is, but provided that that's acceptable, yeah, that's fine.
And then I want to clarify, on the map, the sidewalks go from pretty much, it surrounds the entirety of the project pretty much. So it's on Ridge Pike as well, and it's on both sides of Fruitville.
Yes.
Okay. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Just one point of clarification. The last time that you guys were here, the builder did say that they would try to match the facade of the buildings with the development behind it, because we wanted that cohesiveness.
Absolutely,
So, yeah.
and that's specific to the
And I just
6
wanna-
singles along Montello
Yeah.
Circle.
I think it's actually a
Absolutely.
condition of conditional
Yes,
use.
we will do that. I was thinking more along the townhome units. They're going to want them to be complementary to what's on Montello Circle. Anyway.
Fair enough, yeah. But I just wanted to remind you that was part of the conditional
Certainly.
use, so.
All right, any other resident comment or question? Okay,
Thank you so much. Appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, moving along, we have the extension for Journey Church, number 26-06. It extended indefinitely. Do I have a motion to accept the development time review extension?
Second.
Any board comment? Resident comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And now we have a confirmed appointment, and we'd like to welcome Commercial Pursuit Capital LP to the table.
Thank you. attorney for.
Oh, close to the microphone. It's just a really, yeah. It might not be on, we'll see. I just know when I went to review the planning commission, it was very hard to hear.
There we go.
There we go.
Got it. Okay, Rob Gunlock, attorney for the applicant, Commerce Pursuit Capital. Thanks for including us tonight on the agenda. We're here to talk with you concerning the property identified in your agenda on Ridge Pike, 3323 Ridge Pike. That property is owned by John Petco. John is here tonight. John has owned that property for over 40 years. John operates his business there, the car business there at that location. John, where are you here? John's in the back
You
here.
said John's here?
Yes. Also with me tonight is Michael Mayer from Commerce Pursuit to my right, and Scott Mill from Van Cleef Engineering, the civil engineering firm that has been engaged in connection with this project. So this property consists of approximately 22 acres. It is uniquely configured because it has a stem that goes out to Ridge, and then the property flares out to the rear. At one time.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
That is different that on the screen than what's on my map.
I just asked.
Oh, okay. I was, what did I study? I felt like I was going to fail the test. Okay. Thank you.
Was that different?
Yes, it's going to be part of the story, but we should put per Connie's request, the plan that has been submitted. That's a good shot of it. And you see it's uniquely configured the property and does have some unique features with the stream that crosses, or riparian that crosses approximately 300 feet back off of Ridge. It's generally dry, but when there's heavy rains, it serves as a riparian. The property was previously zoned commercial in the front, where John operates his business, and residential in the rear. Several years back, the township implemented and adopted the Main Street zoning district there and rezoned this property along with several other properties, all within the Main Street zoning district. Again, 22 acres, and we see the configuration as shown on this plan. So the applicant looked at the Main Street ordinance and first designed, and let's turn back to the other plan to tell you the story here. This was designed before Michael Mayer and Westrom got involved in the site, and it was designed for John to show him what a by right plan was. And that plan is very similar to the plan you just saw before us, which was a mix of townhomes and commercial. And it was configured with the townhomes to the rear and some forms of commercial that had not yet been identified along the front portion of the property.
So this is newer than the one I had?
No, it's older. We're gonna leave this. I'm just telling you the story here. John got this plan done by a different engineering firm when he asked the firm, what's a by right plan for this property? And they prepared this plan, which is very similar to the plan you just saw on the prior presentation, with a mix of townhomes and commercial. John didn't like this plan. John didn't want to have his property developed for townhomes. So John began discussions with Westrom, and Westrom reviewed the market and felt that there was a saturation of townhomes in the marketplace, and there was a saturation of commercial uses as well. And so in lieu of this plan, we can turn to the other plan now. Westrom worked with Van Cleef Engineering and came up with what they feel is a better plan. And that plan contemplates 51 single-family homes and open space with a dog park, a very large dog park shown on the property. This plan also contemplates the required common open space that your ordinance requires. I think the prior plan shows you the minimum. This has double the minimum. This plan also contemplates public roads and strict compliance with your ordinance. In fact, the ordinance requires 30-foot wide roads. We're showing 32-foot wide roads. So we're exceeding open space, we're exceeding roadway width, and we're laying out what we think is a better plan with single-family homes. We're also very constrained by the unique configuration of the property and the riparian corridor that crosses it. So we felt, given the market up here now, that there is a demand for single-family homes, that the single-family homes lay out well, that the dog park, which is an amenity within the open space along the frontage, serves as a nice feature for homes and for individuals that in today's world have more prevalent dogs and needs their dogs to run. And these are smaller lot singles. And so we felt the dog park provides a nice common amenity for the community at that location.
Where would that go?
The dog park, if we could blow up that area there, we have I said a very large dog park because I've been to dog parks that have been about 10,000 square feet. This dog park, Scott, I believe is about 40,000+ square feet. It would be divided up, obviously, into small dogs, big dogs, like we routinely see when we take our dogs to the dog park. It would have parking facilities down below that would be available for those who are using the dog park.
But that's not commercial.
It's not commercial, right?
Agreed.
I'm going to get to the rest of the story. Okay, so
I get that,
yes.
but it's commercial.
Excuse me.
It's commercial.
What's commercial?
That spot.
The dog park.
Yes.
Right.
So let's talk about commercial and not a dog park.
Yes, and that's why we're here tonight, because this applicant is of the opinion that the single-family homes and the dog park is a better plan than townhomes and what would amount to some 100,000 square foot of commercial. They want to build less. They don't want to build townhomes. They don't want to build the commercial. They want to build less. They want to build 51 singles and deed restrict all those lands as open space together with the additional common open space that they have in the plan. And they have made application to the zoning hearing board for variance relief for that. And we think that we have good hardship here, given the configuration of this property, its location of the riparian, that it's just not appropriate here, particularly with the driveway, to try to slide in some type of commercial next to it there. Maybe.
So that's your, I'm gonna, go ahead, Pat.
Yeah.
To me, it's not a hardship to not have to build a commercial space. It's filled in with grass. And I don't like dog parks because it puts a liability on the township. People don't control their dogs. I see lots of problems with that. Mm-hmm. Dog parks they're great. But if you bring your dog in, somebody comes in with their dog that's not chained, something happens to your dog, you're going to come back at the township for having this park.
Well, the dog park certainly can be limited to this community. We were contemplating opening it up.
That's not my point. It's
okay.
Liability for the township to have this dog park if something happens.
Well, that's what Patrick, I'm saying, that if that's a concern, the dog park doesn't have to be offered for dedication or accepted for dedication by the township. It can remain by ownership of this planned community association, which would own and manage this dog park for the residents of this community. It's an open space amenity for this community that goes above and beyond what your ordinance requires. Your ordinance requires 20,000 square feet of common open space. We provided 44,000 square feet, plus we provided this very large open space area, which certainly exceeds another 100,000 square feet. So
our ordinance also requires commercial as part of the build.
You're 100% correct.
This is not in conformance with the ordinance. And so from my opinion, I'm a no, because I want you to conform to the Main Street ordinance.
So we just feel though.
For me, there's no further discussion unless that's willing to be happening.
Well, that's why John is here. And
that's why you say we feel, but we're telling you what we want.
I understand. We're just here to have an open discussion with you on the subject.
Why should your builder be any different than the other builders along Ridge Pike who are conforming to the Main Street zoning ordinance.
Okay, I can answer that if you allow me.
Sure.
Okay, the difference is, and John's here, John was involved in the Main Street ordinance. He received a copy of that ordinance. He was invited to meetings. He was invited to participate in that ordinance. He got written notice as was required under the municipality's planning code. What John didn't get was notice for the text amendment when they decided to amend that ordinance in 24, and they changed that so that you had to physically build the commercial. John wasn't aware of that. Nobody gave John that notice because that notice wasn't required under the municipality's planning code. Some of the other more astute developers, like the prior applicant, came in with their conditional use application, a couple of them, and they filed them before you passed it. And they got vested and they got the benefit of not having to build a commercial. John didn't get that because John just trusted the system and didn't race in here with his application. And now John can't sell this property. He can never sell this property if he had to build that commercial because it's unbuildable. You can't build 100,000 square foot this far off of that road and lease it up before you even begin to sell the residential. So that provision in and of itself has basically handcuffed John from his ability to sell this property. And so that's why he's here. He's here asking for not even your support. He's asking to allow him to go to the zoning hearing board and pitch his case to them in an independent and fair forum as to why he can't develop it.
And I might be overstepping, but real quick, we have two things to do here first, which one is first the confirmed appointment, which if we're going to encourage you to go and meet with staff. And then the second part of this is going to the zoning hearing board. So the first part that we're going through right now is the staff deliberation. And then the next part's going to be going to the zoning hearing board. Am I correct to my two champions on my sides here?
You are correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we understand that.
Yes.
We were, the discussion kind of morphed together. So we were discussing both
And I would
provisions.
I really want to try to keep them kind of zoned in a little bit.
Fair enough.
So.
And I do want to tell you that we're not in a rush to go to the zoning hearing board. Okay, we would like to, and John would like to meet with staff, meet with the planning commission, meet with all of you, and try to work this out for a fair resolution and a plan that's a reasonable development of the property. So that's why we're here tonight.
With that said, I know how you feel. I know how you feel. Are we ready to vote on sending them to staff?
Well, I'm saying go to staff. I mean, we're going to zoning before you can talk to our professionals as to what we can do here. So you haven't gone to the planning commission. All of a sudden you got this plan, you're gonna just rush the zoning and say, I want to do this. Well, the other people you gotta talk to haven't seen your plan yet.
And Patrick, that's correct. We're not rushing to the zoning hearing board. We filed the application because we know we need that relief, but we also filed for the confirmed appointment as we understood that was the process to meet with staff and then meet with the planning commission. So we're fine putting the zoning hearing board application on hold and meeting with staff and your planning commission to review the plan and see how we can come up with the best plan.
I'm okay with them going to staff. I just felt that we were skipping some steps here, rushing right to zoning, because there's a lot of things here you're gonna be asking for.
Okay, so does anyone have any questions before we take it to a vote about going to staff?
So are you gonna pull your zoning application then if we would allow you to go to staff?
We're prepared, when you say pull it, are we prepared to send a notice to?
You submitted one.
Yes, we would simply, if it's already been advertised, which I believe it is, we would ask that it be continued to a date certain, several months out, in order to meet with staff and had adequate time so it doesn't need to be re-advertised. But we're fine going to staff, but you were pretty adamant that you have to have this commercial here. So if we're going to staff and it's your opinion, Linda, that we have to build this commercial and there's no way this is going forward unless we build 100,000 square foot of commercial, then I don't want to waste John's time or John's money by going to staff. So that's why I think we want to talk about both of them. But if there is a potential plan that this could be worked out through staff and everybody working together, yeah, we'll pull the ZHB application and continue to work with staff. But if this board feels adamant that there's no way that you can proceed to build any type of residential unless you build the commercial, I don't know what staff is going to say if that's the position.
Agreed. And I'm still firm in my position.
I would be willing to let him postpone his commercial, but
That goes against what you guys decided on 2 years ago. So,
well, I'm trying to work it out. We have things, he's got his things.
And we also have the comp plan discussions coming up.
Yeah.
And Main Street may be something that is thought about.
Cheryl, can you speak
Thought
into
about, I'm
record?
sorry, am I speaking? Sorry, as I'm talking to Pat. I think that, you know, there are a lot of things going on in our community right now. And maybe the Main Street overlay looks different in a while, and maybe this interesting plan, and I will say that I think it sounds great to have a dog park. I think we don't have any dog parks in Limerick. Formal. So I'm not opposed to this plan. I have questions about what your thoughts are on the development in the back. And of course, being concerned about the river and the wetlands. I'm assuming that whole area has got to be full of wonderful wildlife and things. So I would be open for a staff discussion, but if obviously I'm open one.
I'm open for that. I'm concerned about the wetlands. Even if it's a small area, it's an environment you have to protect.
Sure. We don't disagree with that, Patrick. But you know, we have to take one step at a time in this.
Right.
And by the way, this is our second step. We did send notices out to all the surrounding neighbors. I think we sent like 35 notices out. Somebody here asked the prior applicant if they met with neighbors. We did send it out. 2 neighbors came over and we met with them on John's property and reviewed the plan with them. So we did alert everybody what was going on before we came here too.
On the old plan, what was slated for the commercial area?
It just had office/retail written in there. What it would be is to be determined, but it was about 100,000 square feet of, you know, hypothetical space. Now, in reality, do we think that there's any chance that you could build 100,000 square foot of office and lease it in today's market? No. You just can't. And we don't believe that the retail pushed that far back from the road could ever compete with the retail that Piazza's building up the street. Their retail's right on Ridge. So, you know, how much retail can you put in the corridor, and this retail would never compete with that other retail.
Well, was there any thought of building designing a plan without the townhouses that meets a by right?
Well, the by right now, based upon your 2024 amendment, requires not only that you allocate for the commercial space, but you actually build it and get a certificate of occupancy. The only way you could ever build that space and get a certificate of occupancy if you had a tenant, because you couldn't fit out the space and get a C&O without a tenant. So not only do you have to build it, you have to find a tenant that will lease it. So if we built that office, John could be sitting on 100,000 square foot of office space for the next 20 years. And then he would never be able to build the residential behind it. And so that was his thought. And the reason he said he didn't want to do townhomes, didn't want the commercial, wanted to see more open space in the dog park there. That was the idea here, something different.
Well, why don't I let the board vote on if they're coming to staff or not? Because my question won't matter if they're not coming.
Motion goes to that.
Second.
I have a first and a second to go to staff. Any additional board comment? And go formally, right?
If there's 3 yeses, that's all we need for this.
Linda?
I'm a no.
I'm a no. And here's why I'm a no, because I haven't had a chance to talk, which is good. I'm happy about that. You only have one entrance in. There's no emergency other way to get in there. So you are proposing a plan that is one way in over a bridge. So bridges are gonna have to be replaced. And when those go down, like, how are you going to do a massive bridge replacement when you only have one way in there? I also have this obstacle where there's an accident in front of there and somebody is having a heart attack inside. There is no other way to get to those residents inside of there. I am stuck on the safety issue of not having an additional way into that property. So for that, I can't see having that conversation with staff if you can't find another way into that property.
Excellent point, Connie, and I would submit to you, that's the reason for a staff meeting, because we do have other options on this plan for a second option. But dare we start contacting the other neighbors to buy their land or buy easement rights to put other access points across without first meeting with you and then meeting with staff? There are other options. Emergency access could be put on one side. A road could be taken out to Fruitville. A road could connect through to the development that you just saw in front of you behind there. There's several other options, but we're not going to start contacting other property owners and start talking about buying additional lands until we find out that you're okay with this plan. But we have been approached by at least 2 other individuals who did offer to sell the ground that could allow for another connection through. But again, we would talk to staff about that. Would be something we'd want to talk with your civil engineer, your manager, your traffic engineer, and say, where do you think a second access in the rear lays out well to get to Fruitville Road? So that would be a reason to have a staff meeting, to have that conversation. But
Okay, that's what Dan was gonna talk about. Okay, so with that being said, I will let you go talk to Dan. Staff.
okay.
Yeah, because we're just talking.
Okay.
Because we got questions. Right now, they don't know our questions. So they can't answer any of our questions because they don't know what they are. And we don't know what they can do.
Yeah, maybe there's a way these 2 projects could be connected to the rear, because there's 1 or 2 properties in between to the rear of the.
For the record though,
yeah.
I do agree with Linda on the commercial up front.
I'm the same way with the commercial.
But my
I'm not
no
against you coming to
is
talk.
really about that road. But just so you know how I feel about the
Yeah.
commercial up front. A dog park's not gonna do it. It also is not gonna do it for me for open space. I am a dog person, had them for years, but not everyone's a dog person. And so you have 51 homes and maybe only 25 of them actually get the benefit and enjoyment of the open space that you provided. It doesn't allow a lot for people who aren't dog people. I do, however, agree with you on the single homes. So I will say that. A little bit smaller house, more land that they can have.
Look, if you're looking for affordable single-family homes, this is the closest you'll ever find to affordable, absent somebody subsidizing homes in the Commonwealth, which isn't available today. So we're trying to provide some level of affordability in a single-family home.
Right, and when I talk about a smaller home, a lot of people always, of course, there is an affordability issue with that, but there is also just a need for people who have raised their children and need to downsize, and they don't want to have to leave the Limerick community, and I don't blame them. They shouldn't want to leave Limerick. However, getting something that is smaller with their master on the same floor where they can, retire and end their life in Limerick, there's not a lot of options, especially with all the townhomes that we built. So there's, and then when your young adults are coming in, they don't need a 4-bedroom townhouse. They need something smaller to start their life in. So it's in my opinion, and I'm only one person, those 2 things kind of are they serve both of those needs that I see that the township has.
That's good. The other point, Connie, I want to mention to you, the dog park was being provided as a larger amenity within the lands that would otherwise be developed for commercial. we still have over 40,000 square feet of common open space where there'll be some other amenities. Maybe there'll be a tot lot, maybe there'll be bocce ball courts. That's something we would work out with the planning commission if and as this plan evolved. But that dog park was an amenity, not just for these residents, it could be amenity for others. And several dog parks that I've taken my dog to, you register your dog, you have to show the proper credentials that your dog has all the proper shots, and you pay some reasonable nominal fee for the future maintenance of it. You get a key card, and then you can come in and go to the dog park as you want. I've used them a lot, and it's very popular. And believe it or not, it's a good way to mix and mingle with your residents because you meet more people with a dog, walking a dog in a dog park than you'll ever meet just walking around yourself. So we think it's a good amenity. In many of these communities, it's very popular to have these dog parks in. So that's why we are championing it here, and we are open to either making it a township-wide amenity or leaving it limited to this community together with other amenities. But again, it would be discussions that we would have with staff. But if Linda and yourself can't get by you have to build the commercial, you can never build these things. You'll never see single-family homes on the Main Street corridor. You'll just see, it won't be us. Somebody else will come in with that by right plan, and they'll show some form of commercial down there. And they'll fight it out with you as to whether they have to build it or not build it. But, John, he didn't know about that. And so there is some sympathy for the people who were involved in the Main Street ordinance, but didn't get notice of that change, because that change just sucked the life out of them to sell this property and retire. He just can't sell it. Western will not buy that property with that provision because they're just not in the business of building commercial, nor do they see the commercial
In
there as
Western,
viable.
that's you.
Yes.
That you would want to buy it if you could do all of the things that were there. Okay.
So that's kind of where we are. So it's
about, yeah, I guess it's a staff conversation.
So you will contact Tim or Greta, who you've reached out to before, to schedule a staff meeting.
okay.
I think there's 3 votes to bring it to staff, so.
We'll meet with staff, we'll come back and hopefully, Linda and Connie, and I think there's Kara's missing, that Cheryl and Patrick, you'll keep an open mind on the proposal, and we'll see if we can make it a better plan and something that you can support in this case, given all the facts and circumstances related to this property.
So the second issue is obviously you're also before the board tonight about the zoning relief that you've requested and applications pending. It sounds like it's been advertised for later in June. So at this point, if you're moving forward, the board should take action if they'd like. And Supervisor Lawson has options, or if you want to hear more about the zoning relief.
I would like to hear more about the zoning relief that's being requested.
Sure, we've identified 2 items of relief, but we may only need 1 item of relief. And the item of relief is what we brought up earlier, and that is the need for relief so that we don't have to build the commercial. The commercial requires significant amount of commercial space be built. We don't believe there's a market for this space at this location on this specific property, given its unique configuration. Maybe out front, you could put a convenience store with gas pumps. We don't believe that's appropriate in front of the single family homes, and certainly wouldn't meet the 60,000 square foot requirement for 51 single family homes. So we don't think there's a market given this unique configuration. That's why we asked for that variance to alleviate it. We're not looking for any more homes in return. We're not trying to put homes where the commercial could have been constructed. We're reducing the number of homes that are otherwise permitted on this property to go with the single family homes. We'd submit to you it's a lot less traffic. Having 100,000 square foot commercial there or 60,000 square foot commercial would generate significant additional traffic along that road, whereas the 51 singles will be substantially less. That's the main item of relief we're looking for. The relief being that this applicant is not required to lay out or construct the commercial space. The only other item that we had asked for was the configuration of the open space. We're providing double the amount of the common open space that's required. We would need to meet with township staff to see if it meets those requirements after seeing the prior presentation and how they have configured their open space We believe, given that we have double the amount, and I think they were just at the amount, we believe we can comply, but we need to consult with township staff to see if they agree whether our configuration of the open space meets the requirement. For example, there's a provision in there, Connie, that says your open space has to be adjacent to other open spaces. Well, we don't believe there's any other open space around us. There's some deed restricted lands to the rear of the creek, and we have abutted some of our common area open space along the deed restricted open space. If you pull along the top of the plan there, we didn't. So you could pull the plan down a little bit so we can see the rear. We didn't take these homes all the way to the back line because we didn't want these residents having the ability to put things or disturb those lands. So all those lands to the rear are deed restricted. We don't believe the lands across the stream are open space, but they're certainly deed restricted lands, and we've adjacent to those lands. So whether or not we strictly comply with that requirement, the staff would have to look at it. So that was the only second of relief. Everything else, Connie, is completely in accordance with, been designed in accordance with the zoning ordinance for single family homes.
I have a question is, are these gonna be colonial houses? Are they gonna be ranch houses? Is it gonna be a bi-level house?
They're going to be 2-story homes with 2-car garages and 2 spaces in the driveway. They're going to average about 2,500 square feet. They could potentially be up to 2,800, 3,000 square feet, but they're on the smaller side. But the demand now is 2-car garages, 2 in the driveway, and 3 to 4 bedrooms. Could there be a bedroom downstairs offered on a master like Connie mentioned? Sure. There'll be an option where that could be offered as a first floor master, but generally these will be 3 or 4 bedrooms on the second floor.
All right, so it's not a mixture, like can't be a Cape Cod, it won't be a, you have like a variety?
Yeah, there's a variety of different configurations we started putting together, and we can share those with you. But generally, you don't see a lot of the Cape Cods being built. You just see mostly 2-story colonial type of homes with a full second floor.
I'm just trying to visualize what's here because I don't call it affordable. I call housing transitional.
Okay.
Where you have young folks starting out.
Yep.
They can't afford the big $600,000 house. Something for them to start doesn't have to be. Could be a basic like 3 bedrooms and a dining room and such. Like another house doesn't need vaulted seasons. Something that they can afford. So my thing is, young folks need something to start.
Mm-hmm.
Older folks need someplace to go when they're ready to downsize. And right now we don't have that people can afford.
We've modeled this down to about 2,200 square feet, which would be about 3 bedrooms, but it could be as high as 3,000. But I agree with you, Patrick. This in and of itself does not directly create affordable housing. In our opinion, it indirectly creates affordable housing because somebody who may be in a lesser priced home would sell their home and move into this new home, and now their home is available for maybe $300,000 or $400,000 for somebody who's a first-time home buyer of a single-family home. So, look, the market dictates the cost to do the site improvements and build the homes. That all dictates what a home has to sell for. But you're probably right around there for a single-family home here in Limerick, given all the other costs that go into it.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go back to, it's a Main Street district, we have the ordinance in place, and it's highly congested in there, and I'm not seeing overflow parking, and I would hate to think that the dog park parking is the overflow parking, and.
No, it's another good point, Connie. We have room for overflow parking there, and if you lost a unit or two here and there to get more overflow parking, some of those roads are single loaded roads and there's additional parking that can be installed. We can move the homes around. Again, this was just our first take. We didn't want to get into fully engineering it, but your 2 points are good points. A secondary access, overflow parking, 3 points, and additional amenities other than dog park. They could all be accommodated if we had the opportunity to work with staff, work with your planning commission, but at the end of the day, it's not going to, all of that could result in less homes, more amenities, or overflow, second access, but it's not going to result in our ability ever to build 80 or 100,000 square feet of commercial space and occupy it and get a certificate of occupancy. You won't, and I hope this doesn't stepping out of line, you will never see anybody ever who will do that in this township to build single family homes. It's impossible. It's impossible. The people that are in front of you, they snuck in before you amended the ordinance. You're not going to find anyone come in now and build under that ordinance and have to get certificates of occupancy. It's impossible. And so we're trying to come up with a compromise here. And I think Cheryl said you're looking at your comprehensive plan and maybe it leads to some amendments, but we're not looking for anywhere near the density you're offering under your ordinance. We're just looking for a reasonable compromise of a plan for the site here, so John can market this and sell his business and retire.
I'm still opposed to it. So I'm opposed to going to staff. I'm opposed to not meeting the ordinance as it is. You know, it's not our job to help, you know, developers get a market for their property. That's definitely up to you guys. So it's for you to conform to the ordinances and build the commercial.
So I'm taking that as a motion to oppose.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question. So, sorry. Are you still wanting to go to zoning right now?
No, we're willing to continue the zoning hearing board application so that we could meet with staff and look at some of these issues that Connie had mentioned, and several of you mentioned, but her three big ones were the secondary access, the overflow parking, some additional amenities. Patrick was questioning the size of the dog park and the potential liability to the township. You had some comments as well. But Linda's comment is that she just will not support any project, no matter how we revise it, without providing for the commercial. And so, you know, we're willing to continue the zoning hearing board application to work with staff to try to come up with a plan that addresses all of your comments. But there's no plan we could ever come up with where we build 60 or 70 or 80,000 square foot of commercial and fit it out and occupy it before we could even start the residential.
Understood that. So I guess I'm just trying to understand, are we in a situation right now that we need to talk about zoning?
Yeah, can I, right now we have an administrative zoning hearing board application before us for this particular plan, for this specific relief. For this,
As it sits right now.
Just as it sits right now.
Not what can be solved
Right.
or worked out with staff.
Right.
But
So,
what is in front of us right now.
right.
Yeah.
So I would suggest the board vote on this zoning hearing board application so staff has a clear indication of the board's intention before they come in to staff. And if for any reason they would come back with a different zoning hearing board plan with different variances or any way, they'll come back to the board for another zoning advisory. But I would request that the board vote on this particular plan because we have an administrative application.
Correct, because if they're changing the relief, it's going to have to be re-advertised anyway, so.
So I do have a motion on the floor to oppose.
Second on opposed.
All right, so I have a first and a second. Do we have any additional board comment?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Talking about negotiating, and that's for the solicitor. Are we allowed to say
No,
you have to build one in 2 years?
no, we're not gonna discuss that right now.
Okay. So do I have any resident comment? Seeing none. So motion on the floor to oppose. I would like to oppose and send the solicitor in opposition. So does that change it? So moved? All right. Second.
Can I make a comment before you vote, Madam Chair? And that is, could you caveat that if we voluntarily agree to continue the application, that and meet with staff, that you're not in opposition to the application at this time?
I think that contradicts what Dan just said.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. Yeah. So basically what we're doing is we're voting on this plan as it sits right now with the dog park, with the 1 lane access, without any of the things that we've discussed. But that's what's before us, so that's what we're voting on. So we're gonna vote on that. And
that was submitted.
And then if, like Dan had said, if you make some changes or some things, then we just go through this all over again.
Okay.
So it's just, but this is what's in front of us. This plan is in front of us. And so that's where we're at.
So if we decide just to move forward, then the motion would allow the solicitor to come and oppose us. If we decide to continue it, then we could come back, meet with the staff, come back to you, and then you would reconsider a new vote.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
I won't be there on the 24th.
Gotcha.
if we're
Fair
continuing.
enough.
Okay. So I have the first, the second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very
Nay.
much for your time.
I'll go on as an A.
Oh, right, we have a nay. So three to send the solicitor in opposition and 1 no to not send her. Okay.
Very good.
Record's clear?
Record's clear.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for
Good.
your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. So we do have authorization to reach out to Dan,
Oh, you
staff,
have
and schedule
the
a meeting.
approval to go to
Okay,
staff.
good.
Yes.
Thank
These
you.
were 2 separate agenda items.
Gotcha.
So 2 separate things that we had to go through.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
All right, so now I have the R. That's where I'm at, right? I'm at the RFP. No, I'm not. Oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. I'm gonna back up. So it's been a very development heavy night. So we need authorization to send special fire police. Perkiomen Township is requesting assistance from our special fire police for traffic control for a rescheduled funeral service and procession for the past Perkiomen Township Fire Company Fire Chief William E. Patterson Jr. on Sunday, May 31st.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a first and a second. Any board comment? Any resident comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, RFP. I'm gonna turn it over to Dan.
Okay, so May 8th, the request for proposals for our comprehensive plan were received. Al, do you have your bid totals in front of you?
I do not.
You do not? Okay, that's fine. You did the memo, but I will read it for you.
If you give me a copy of my number, I'll read it then.
No, I'm good. I will take care of it. So five proposals were received. I'm going to announce them in the order of pricing from the lowest to the highest. The first one was from HRG, which was a price of $94,975. The second was Strategic Solutions, $119,950. Third was Simone Collins Landscape Architecture, $123,468. The fourth was Remington and Burnick Engineers, $147,260. And the fifth one was from Gilmore and Associates from $259,800. Cal's and his team handled the bid on Penn bid. He certified them as being complete, and they were all accepted. So with that in hand, there is a 90-day window by which the township has under the RFP to approve one of these vendors to act as your consultant. We are in day 17 of that right now because they came in on May 8th. So the next step is just to have a discussion with the board this evening on how you wish to review these plans and choose a vendor. You can bring all five in to a public session and give each an allocated time and do it in public. You can bring one in, you can bring two in, you can do however as many as you want. You can pick a committee of the board to review the five and narrow it down to two, and those two would be brought in, or narrow it down to three. It's really up to the board. I think Rebecca would confirm that there's no set way that these have to be. It's a professional service agreement.
Correct.
You did the public bid, and the board can choose any process you want to narrow this down to the single one. So it's really just a discussion now for the board on what you want to do.
My thought is to narrow it down to 3 and then bring it and get our committee set up and have them help us evaluate the remaining 3 finalists. So I'm sure looking at 5, we should have some type of checklist for things and maybe do a weighted checklist to say what, give it some point values of what's important for us. Take a look at all 5, see which ones are the top 3 out of like a weighted checklist for, budget, timeline, inclusiveness of what was desired as part of the RFPs, and then try to do a quick, a summary of those, a tally of those to get to our top 3, and then work with our community to get their input and their feedback. That's my first throw out there.
So when you say committee, are you talking about the overarching committee of residents that will be a part of the comp landing?
Yes.
Perfect. So I just so I understood, I completely agree. I think that we need to start gathering information from our residents on the people who want to be a part of the comp plan and get that going too at the same time.
I think we're in a 90-day turnaround and we're 17 days in. So I'm not sure we have enough time to get the right mix of people, get them to vet the packets, and then go through and do, because we have a 90-day window.
Dan, in the last RFP that was done, was there like any checklist, any type of weighting that was done for the last RFP?
My recollection from the last time a consultant of this nature was chosen is that the board appointed 2 members from the board who sat with staff and consultants, and we came up with questions and basic checklists, and that general informal committee, again, of 2 board members came back with a recommendation to the board. I think it was 2 consultants at the time, and then they were the 2 final interviews that were brought to the entire board for final cert, for approval or whatever. So I believe that's how it worked in the past. So.
I'm a crazy girl. I would just like to bring them all in, give them all 20 minutes, figure it out. But I love chaos, so I really don't.
I think if the board were bringing 1, 2, 3, or 5 in, it should all be on the same night, just for the ease of competitive fairness, and just allocate whatever time you want for each one. Let them go to town.
Yeah, it would be a long meeting, like you could give them 20 minutes and then like 5 minutes of question and answer or whatever.
We can work on those details. It would probably have to be a special meeting we would advertise, but unless we have a late agenda coming up, and we'll figure it out. So
I'm one person though, so if there's more votes to go in a different direction, by all means.
I'm okay giving all 5 a chance to show their plan. That's basically what I'm saying.
So 90 days gets us to when?
We're already 17 days in, right?
August.
I understand your point, Connie. I would go with what you said.
Early August.
I just feel like that timeline's kind of tight.
Fair
to
enough.
just.
I mean, we could still hash out a lot of the other stuff.
We can, because they gave us a ton of information that we can start kind of getting if we can decide on how amongst, how we want to weight it, or if Cal can give us some feedback on how some other plans have been weighted, then we can go through and do our own and kind of come in prepared.
Yeah,
when we do that.
We can absolutely work with Dan and Steph. We can absolutely put something together as just guidance.
Yeah.
Your consideration, and you can move from there.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah. Do we have to take a vote or anything?
No. Is there a general consensus to bring them all in one evening and all 5? Yes.
Is there? Yeah, and is there any resident comment on that at all? Any question, concern? Okay.
Is there anybody in the audience that wants to be included?
Plan. There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Was that a yes? Was that a smile yes?
All right.
Is there another smile yes here? Are you sure?
I don't even know what it means.
There we go. All right. So I guess we're gonna put it in your hands to come up with a date for us.
That's fine. That's all I
Right?
need for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have the Westmont Soccer Planning Module Approval, and that goes to Cal, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Take it away.
All right, so this is for the Westmont Soccer Club project on Bushwick Road. Like it is the case in most development projects, a certain development or construction project, depending on nature, whether it is residential or commercial, they are required under the DEP process to complete a planning module. You review this planning module first to confirm the sewer capacity and the treatment plant in which the project is within the drainage area for. To also confirm the proposed design is adequate. And obviously the township has to approve it. In this case, Aqua is the sewer authority in the township. They have to review and approve. And most importantly is it has to meet the 537 plan that the township owns and maintains, which is pretty much the roadmap of sewer-related project in areas. The first process in the planning commission is for an applicant to submit a mailer. It's pretty much informing the DEP about the project, the location, the map, the nature of the project, the flows coming from it, and only the DEP can make a determination. In most cases, does this project qualify for an exemption, meaning you don't need to do any additional paperwork, your project is pretty straightforward, you're not proposing a lot of flow, we'll give you the permit and go ahead, you got the exemption. Or if the project is considered significant, like this project is, then they're gonna ask them to complete the planning module application submission, which not only involves what they just submitted to the township. Now we're gonna be acting on a resolution that they need to include as part of their sewer submission to the DEP. There are various components to it that they have to submit. First, they need to submit to the Township Planning Commission, which at the last meeting, they submitted that component to them. They reviewed it, they acted on it, they approved it. The applicant now attaches this to the application to the DEP. Tonight, you are going to be acting on a resolution. The resolution, if approved by the township, will also be included as part of that. They also have to get approval and comments from the Montgomery County Planning. Now, this is anything related to public sewer. If this project was for on-lot septic, it would only go to the health department. And of course, the township will be made aware of it. We just wanted to give you a quick flavor of what a planning module is. You're gonna see a lot of these in the future. You're gonna see something that says, oh, an exemption was granted, or you're gonna see something along these lines to say, oh, this component is in front of you. You need to act on it at a public meeting, pass a resolution, and then send it to them if this was the end vote. With that, I answer any questions you have for me.
I do not have any questions. Any questions? All right. Do we have a motion to approve resolution number 2026-11, approving the planning module for Westmont Soccer?
So moved.
Second.
Any board or public comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Do we have a tricentennial update?
Nothing for this evening.
Nothing this evening? Okay. How about your manager's report?
Just two quick items. So in the past, just to let the board know, the board in the past had directed staff, our code team, as they drive around the township on their inspections, to try and alleviate the township from the proliferation of roadside signs that come about. We have noticed that they're getting more and more now, and I directed the code team to pick them up. They've picked up well over 200 in the past week or so. and they go right to the dumpster. I actually received a complaint from a resident today about visibility on one corner, and apparently the resident moved them back, and the people who put them there complained to the person. But anyway, just so a warning to people who place roadside signs, the code team will be out. They'll pull them. It's the stuff that's in the right of way. If signs are back on a property and it's a legal sign, we will handle that in a different matter. But everything in the right of way, we just pull them and get rid of them. So heads up. And then similar to this meeting being a special meeting of the board, because we have to take up one full board meeting for data center conditional use hearing. This is a special meeting to take care of regular business. Tentatively, we're scheduling June 23rd, Tuesday, June 23rd, as a special meeting of the board if needed to take care of business. So we will be firming that up as we plan the agendas in the next week or two. But if we hold that, we will be announcing that next week or two. Okay?
All right.
That's all I have.
We are on quite a streak of 3 meetings a month. So, all
Well,
right.
then the comp plan
Before.
meeting.
Yeah. So, do we have any resident comments? As a reminder, any comments about the conditional use hearings that are currently operating right now will not be part of the official record, and the Board of Supervisors cannot comment on the ongoing hearing. But beyond that caveat, if anyone has any public comment.
Hi, Ally again. Can you clarify the yard signs you mean, Dan? Is it the ones that are like we buy houses, or is it any sort of sign that you have in your yard?
Not yard signs, but if you drive around, there's moving companies have signed a place right between, the curb and sidewalk and the grass areas, real estate signs,
Pressure washing
power
signs.
washing, yeah, stuff
They're
like that.
all
Signs
over.
that are on telephone poles, they will take them down. So they're basically illegal throughout the township. They're off-premise signs and they're not permitted.
Okay, so if you want a sign on your property, you have to keep it away.
You keep it back from the sidewalk, back out of the right of way. We do not touch political signs. They are protected. And we will provide some deference to special, a church is having a bazaar. Generally, they're only up for a day or two. Those kind of things, community type of signs. Won't let them stand for, but a little bit. But any of the other business signs, moving signs, we scoop poop signs are everywhere now. It's like crazy. So,
That's
they're
a
just
good move.
everywhere. And
Because people put them out, never come back.
right, exactly. So anyway, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. And final comment, this is more so towards any of the developers or companies or any neighbors who come into this space and ask not just the supervisors and our admin, but also the township as a whole for any kind of plan. Why do you leave after you're done presenting? Like, is it not one meeting that you can sit through to show the community that you care, you want something to happen, so you can't stick through one meeting? I'm asking people from now on out, like, if you do care, stay and talk to your neighbors, or who could be your neighbors.
Thank you for your comment. Any other resident comment? Seeing none? Okay, supervisor comment?
Just want to say thanks for Connie, Cheryl, and I. We work together pretty well trying to sell some tricentennial garb at the Fireman's Carnival, and I got sick, so I appreciate you ladies stepping up to pick up my shifts whenever I couldn't make it because I wasn't feeling good.
Absolutely.
So
We'll be
thanks.
out at other
Anytime.
community events.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah.
We'll be at the concerts in the park, movies in the park.
Yep.
So stop by, pick something up.
Mhm.
We'd appreciate it.
We have some tricentennial merchandise for you. So real quick, for my supervisor comment, I would love to get an update from Tim on the audiovisual project that we had done a little while ago. Just because I'm dying to know.
Yes, sure. So I reached out to ABT.
Excuse me, is that because of Glenn? Is that why you're in?
Man,
Anything we can do to make it
Yeah.
easier for Glenn.
in his defense, we did a dry run. It ran great. And then tonight it turned into like an orchestra of sound.
I think what did it.
Murphy's Law.
Most of us, the
Yeah.
music he was playing.
Yeah.
Was not.
Yeah, yeah. So
Thanks, Cal.
So ABT indicated that by mid-June, they hope to have the new AV system installed in this public meeting room. It's going to be an exciting change for the viewers at home. They will have a high definition view of the screen. That's probably one of the biggest benefits that they're going to have.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So it's going to be, to further explain that, it's going to be an HD signal from the HDMI input that they're going to see. They're not going to see a camera viewing the screen. It's going to be the actual screen input going directly to their YouTube feed. Also, they're going to have 3 cameras with a wide view camera. They're also going to be HD cameras, which are going to be a lot better than even what we have here with our iPad. So the audio,
That's what I was going to ask you.
still keep on people using the microphone. We had a good run with that at the Springford High School when we did the data center. They have a state-of-the-art system through ABT, but it was still important to have the people be near a microphone. I do believe the new system will have an enhanced way to handle ambient sound. So if someone makes a comment off a microphone, it still might pick up a little bit better. But still keeping on top of the microphone would be a really good practice moving forward.
Great.
So mid-June, we're hoping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Any other supervisor comment? No?
Thank you all for coming. Really appreciate it. And all the smiling faces.
All right. And so with that, I just want to say a big thank you to the staff and our consultants. You guys have been patient and kind and have done a very good job to try to get myself up to speed in the last 142 days, which feels like 342 days. But that's where we're at. Today is day 142. So with that, thank you guys very much. And we will see you at the next meeting. Have a great night.
So it's right on the bubble.
Oh, God.
Right on the bubble. It was June 16th is that meeting. So I immediately thought of that. Once again,
Stop emailing and you will no longer be live. Yeah.